Welcome, this is the Bright Professor. I'm Dr. Leonard Bright. In this video series, I show in detail a meeting I had with my dean in regards to my concerns about discrimination, retaliation, and cheating in my full promotion process. This meeting happened after I received word that I was being denied promotion to the full professor rank on the basis of research. When you have managers who are intent on blaming you for what you have experienced, shifting promotion standards, refusing to follow written policies, and covering a promotion process that was grossly rigged, then you must persevere to get what you have rightfully earned. I received 7 years of written annual evaluations that communicated to me that I had done an excellent job in research. They even noted during my 6-year comprehensive post-tenure review that my research was, quote, more than satisfactory, unquote. Given these years of positive evaluations, I believe that my promotion process was being rigged to fail and that I was being racially discriminated against. In this meeting, you will hear a conversation between me and the dean, his senior associate dean, and my wife, who was also a past part-time instructor in the department, were also in attendance. I am starting the audio at the point in the meeting where I lay out my core concerns. Let's listen.
And I would just advocate for myself, advocate for what we represent here. You know, I think the Bush School needs to have a full professor at this university that's an African American. They provide that perspective. You know, and that my record and what I've done be rewarded. I met the research standards as it was communicated to me.
And exceeded them.
And I should be rewarded for that. And given an opportunity to continue to improve this school. I don't say these things lightly because I'm just not one to constantly holler this unless it is, it's something that's important here. We need more of us here.
I take just the one.
And quite frankly, to have nobody, again, that's a side consideration, because I believe I earned it. But the other consideration here is that how do you make changes that we kept out? If you allow people to adjust standards, to adjust them.
To adjust them.
Leonard, explain to me, you mentioned that you met research requirements as they were presented to you. Mm-hmm. How were they presented to you?
Now, right off the bat, this line of questioning is odd. Deans in academia know when and how performance standards are communicated to the faculty.
Well, I can only go by, first of all, conversations I had with my department heads at the time, and also what was communicated to me in writing on my annual reviews. And in particular, I paid attention to my posting review. Mm-hmm. And I looked around, and I tend to, look, I'm a scholar, management scholar. I look and see who was promoted, what did they have. And when I look around, I see variations because different people have different fields. The economists have a different field, nonprofit, everybody. But I look around and I get a sense for, okay, what I've done, I have minimally met and I believe exceeded, and it's time for me to move forward.
For a little background, 2 white professors have been recently promoted to the rank of full professors with similar and lower levels of performance when compared to me.
If there was something they had to say, why don't they have the courage then to tell me that to my face? Mm-hmm. Why wait and ambush me?
And that's
with something
what we're
different?
used to. We're used to that.
That is fundamentally seen to be cowardly.
I would agree with that.
As you heard, the dean agreed that the faculty were cowardly. Now later, he tried to clarify to a grievance committee that the faculty just didn't tell me the truth over those 7 years of excellent evaluations, but they were telling me the truth now.
Okay, Frank, other questions?
Just one thing, Leonard. Right at the beginning, you said there were 3 things.
Mm-hmm.
First thing you mentioned was the fact, you said there are 3 facts. First is discrimination, the second one was retaliation.
The third was tampering.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have a question for you, Dean. Someone, if what I said about was true, And I'm not going to put it on you to tell me whether you agree with it or not. But let's just say it's true. Would you think his involvement would be a conflict of interest?
The person that was selected to lead my promotion process had a history of hostility against me and my wife. In one episode, he had a run-in with me after a request I made of him when I was the assistant dean of the college. During this dispute, he dismissed my wife from her part-time teaching role in the college. This person clearly should not have been involved in my promotion process, much less lead the process in the selection of my external reviewers. While I did not know at the time, the university had evidence that this individual has selected his, as well as other faculty members, co-authors, Bush School co-workers, and friends to serve as external reviewers. He dismissed over 90% of my proposed external reviewers who were in my field, and there was even evidence that he engaged in off-the-record communications with many of these external reviewers that appeared to instruct them on what he wanted them to write. Now, putting aside the information that I would later learn and that I didn't know at that time, we all knew that this individual had fired my wife in an act of retaliation against me. Now listen to how complicated the dean makes it before he can determine whether or not this individual should have ever been involved in my promotion process or had a conflict of interest.
I think how he was involved and what he was doing and how it was done is the question here. Because the thing that I've got to do is look really clearly at what impacted this process. Did treat Christina properly? Were all those things handled well? That's a different subject than how did the external reviewers get picked. If consulted with other people and external reviewers, and I haven't seen the whole package yet. I don't know how many names are on which list, where they came from, what people told him when he called, how many times he talked to. All those things are questions that I have to get clear. If, for example, he went to, which I think he did, I think Ann told me she was part of this process, she helped him vet the list, that adds a different person's voice into the discussion, and now it's not just acting on his own. If he was involved in helping to pick or take people off the list or find new reviewers, that gives a different face to this. And so that's what I've got to find out. Did consult with the dean of faculty at any point in time about all this? All that's part of this. And so I'll tell you all that. I'll know all that when you and I talk again.
Now again, each of the individuals that Dean Welsh attempts to justify as being involved in this process were associated with the external reviewers as co-authors, former co-workers, or decades-long friends, with 5 of the 6 external reviewers used in my case. This is one of the core ways that they rigged my promotion process against me. You are hearing the beginning stages of the dean's attempt to justify a rigged promotion process and to ignore the racial discrimination that I had experienced. In the next video in this series, you will hear the dean continue this line of reasoning and even shift and blame me for what I had experienced.